Good afternoon. My name is Kiana Shavetti with 617 News. It's Election Day. How will the new President of the United States handle ISIS? Recently, in world news, the U.S. is back to Iraq and getting Mosul back from ISIS. And now, Paige from Iraq with more information.
Thanks, Kiana. In 2014, the Islamic State became an international terrorist threat when it seized the large territories of Iraq and Syria. One of the group's greatest and most surprising gains was Iraq's second largest city, Mosul. Roughly 2 years later, ISIS had lost about half of its territory in Iraq, and U.S.-backed forces have launched an operation to retake Mosul, which experts say could mark the beginning of the end for the jihadist group. So why is Mosul so crucial for ISIS? The Islamic State's power is almost entirely reliant on land. ISIS's goal is to overthrow governments and wage war until they secure a global caliphate. They have been able to fund their operation mainly through robbing banks, taxing and extorting the local population, and stealing natural resources such as oil. But the terror group has already lost much of its income sources due to U.S.-led airstrikes. It is important for them to control large populations. This is one of the main reasons why ISIS needs Mosul, because they need people, and land leads to people. Mosul was home to 2 million people that were heavily taxed, extorted, and enslaved. ISIS taxed on electricity, water, pharmaceutical, bank withdrawals, and more. Mosul's population dropped by about half. Losing control would still be a financial disaster. ISIS needs Mosul for trade reasons as well. It's a key trading city, not far from the borders of Iran, Syria, and Turkey. They need to be near those borders for weapons, soldiers, and supplies. Highway 47 links Raqqa, the largest city in Syria held by ISIS, to Mosul. Losing Mosul will cut off that route, forcing the group to contain most of its operations in Syria. Mosul is also the center for ISIS's chemical weapons. Since April 2015, the terror group has been using a chemistry lab at the University of Mosul to build peroxide-based chemical bombs and suicide bomb vests, which were used in the Belgium and Paris attacks. Islamic State's takeover of the city in 2014 signaled to the world that they are a serious threat to populations. And now I'm going to pass it over to Matt Lauer.
Iraqi forces backed by the U.S. are now 1 week into that massive operation to reclaim Mosul from ISIS. Officials there are saying it's going faster than they had planned. NBC's Richard Engel is on the front lines. Richard, good morning to you.
Good morning, Matt. Iraqi forces are saying it's going much faster than planned today, claiming that in just the first week of this offensive, that the combined Iraqi and Kurdish forces backed up by the U.S. have liberated 78 towns and villages from ISIS. ISIS's so-called caliphate is under attack from Kurdish troops, who launched a major push toward the militant stronghold in Mosul, and Iraqi counterterrorism forces trained by the U.S. to be the tip of the spear of this operation. U.S.-backed Iraqi forces are pushing further ahead today. This advance has been moving very quickly, and the top Iraqi commander here told me they expect to be in Mosul in just a matter of days. Assisting, at times from just a few miles from the front lines, are around 500 American advisors who help with airstrikes and coordination. There are about 5,000 more American troops on bases. Defense Secretary Ash Carter visited them this weekend.
We're going to get better and better at combating ISIL, even as they change, which they will. We're still going to get better.
With every new village that's been liberated from ISIS, there are more signs of the group's radical intolerance. In particular, its persecution of Christians who've lived in this part of Iraq since the earliest days of the faith.
Thank you.
This Sunday, a priest, Father John Tarachi, and his wife, like many Christians forced out of their homes by ISIS, returned to see what was left of their beloved church.
I'm so happy because I want to see my village. This is 2 years and 3 months.
They thank Iraqi troops for having driven out ISIS. The church is still standing, but desecrated. The cross burnt and shot. Religious art smashed. The Iraqi troops celebrate the return of the Christians, but it's too dangerous for the priest to stay. He salvages some books and vows to return when it's safer. As we've stressed before, the biggest battles may only begin once Iraqi forces reach the city of Mosul itself. A senior Iraqi security official told us there are some 5,000 ISIS fighters in the city, among them 1,500 foreign fighters, most of them from Europe. Matt, Savannah.
All right, Richard Engel in Iraq for us. Richard, thank you.